There's a wonderful old Buddhist story about a Zen master who was on her deathbed. When I heard this story, it was him, but I like to play with that because who knows if this ever really happened anyway. Maybe it did. I'll have to look into it. But I like the parable. So there she is. She's on her deathbed, and her students come to her and say, how are you? How is this process? You're dying. And her response is, in the mind, all is well. I'm completely at peace with this process. I've accepted this fully. There's nothing outside that experience of aware acceptance. And my body has some catching up to do. One of the things that I wanted to focus on today is that experience of the body having some catching up to do. So yes, thanks, Spencer. Your first impulse is to check for anything unusual, and then the checking goes into feeling a myriad of energies that are present. If anyone feels inspired to write anything else in the sidebar about your experience of checking in with the body, please feel free to. Coming into the position that's most comfortable for you for this period of sitting. Taking 3 of the longest and deepest inhalations and exhalations you've taken yet today. In a traditional Buddhist body scan, we might move through individual parts of the body, allowing the attention to focus on different areas. And just in case that brought up a question mark for anyone, by traditional Buddhist, I should acknowledge the body scans that I've had access to and experienced through the insight tradition, through Vipassana meditation. Rather than moving the attention through different parts of the body in this moment, rather than labeling and compartmentalizing, simply be aware of sensation. To the best of your ability in this moment, just releasing the labels of sensation in feet, sensation in the knees, sensation in the hips. Not because that can be an incredibly helpful and useful practice to move through the body in a very calculated way. But it's not what we're doing this morning. Because the focus this morning is on the purity of the experience of sensation without it being contained to an idea of the body. With your eyes closed now, what do you know of the body? On some level, for example, with your eyes closed, isn't feet simply an idea? What do you know of feet other than the sensation you experience in what you label feet? Rather than experiencing the body and sensation directly, many of us are most often in relationship with the body through thought form. So a crude example would be, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm picking apart what I see. The conditioned mind is picking apart what I see, compartmentalizing, judging, evaluating, comparing, relating to the body through those thought forms. That's a crude example. A more subtle example of how this happens is I close my eyes in meditation and I'm scanning through, I'm focusing on different body parts. But I'm experiencing myself as that which is in relationship with these different body parts. I'm calling some sensation painful, which might trigger a thought of, I shouldn't have run so much yesterday, now my knees are sore. or a heaviness in the chest, and then that triggers the thought, I'm sad and here's why. We've focused a lot recently on the attachment to the conditioned mind. So free the conditioned thoughts and labels and beliefs about the body in this moment and go straight to simply being aware of sensation. Rather than focusing on various sensations with this tight beam of the attention, simply be aware of the way in which sensation is floating in open awareness. Rather than training the attention to scan through the body in a very specific way for this meditation, again, there's usefulness in that, but for this meditation, free the attention to rest in awareness, and from awareness through awareness, see this sensation as arising in awareness. Free yourself from the outdated idea of my body, my mind. In the same way that we grip in the mind to our conditioned thoughts and beliefs, we grip in the body. These constrictions like flags in the soil claiming, this is me, this tension is the ego, the activity of a self that views itself to be separate from life, taking a stand. Rather than identifying with this small, separate self that takes a stand anywhere, that's in relationship with objects, thoughts, feelings in a specific way. Rather than taking a stand as ego and enhancing the activity of the conditioned mind, which is all the ego is. Take a stand as presence. Take a stand as awareness. Free sensation to do what it naturally does, which is arise in this openness, arise in you. Move through this openness, move through you. Free this sensation to dissolve in this openness. To dissolve in you. Sensation unrestrained, unbound, unlabeled, not judged. Unconditioned sensation. Sink the attention in the knowing of this sensation. Sink the attention in the intimacy of this knowing. Sensation that moves through this open field of awareness, much like a blooming flower, doesn't need any assistance to arise, to pass through, to dissolve in pure consciousness. It doesn't benefit from conditioned resistance. It isn't enhanced through your conditioned approval of it, the conditioned approval of it. This conditioned activity, again, doesn't belong to you. This conditioned activity arises in you, much like this sensation. All sensation. Surrender these places of tension and constriction, tight sensation, what we would label as tight sensation. Release the labels and surrender the sensations. To awareness. Rest in the knowing, the aware knowing of all things that arise, pass, and dissolve. Take a stand as presence. And notice that it's not a hard, fixed stand at all. It's the knowing of the intimacy, or the intimate knowing of your own being. Thank you, friends.